Of Bill C-501, an act to amend the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act and other acts, pension protection. In the name of Mr. Rafferty.
Mr. Rafferty, seconded by Mr. Marston, moves that Bill C-501, an act to amend the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act and other acts, pension protection, be now read a second time and referred to the Standing Committee on Industry, Science and Technology. Debate. The Honourable Member for Thunder Bay, Rainy River.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very pleased today to be here to introduce my private member's bill, C-501, for debate. Mr. Speaker, Canadians know that New Democrats have always, in good times and bad, looked out for the interests of hard-working men and women in Canada, and that we have done so from day one. We are also the only group of parliamentarians that has always made pension security a top concern, like our member from Hamilton East, Stony Creek. And I am proud to continue this strong and principled tradition today. C-501 will do, surprisingly, what has never been done before. It will secure the pensions of all Canadians whose employers have fallen on hard times, that have undertaken restructuring, entered bankruptcy protection, or have collapsed entirely and had their assets sold off. If it is passed, C-501 should mean that every working Canadian can take comfort to know that their pension, their retirement, is secured in its entirety. Now, I'm sure that every member in this place, no matter what region they represent, has constituents in his or her riding whose pensions have been lost due to bankruptcy or restructuring of their employer, and have many others whose pensions today are at risk. This is sadly something that we all have in common, but it's also something that should unite us in a common cause. Record job losses, the decline of entire industries like forestry and manufacturing, the collapse of large employers like Nortel Networks and Abitibi-Bowater are throwing tens of thousands of hardworking Canadians out of work. These hardworking Canadians, through no fault of their own, are finding out years after years and years of work that their pensions and retirement income are threatened. With thousands of pensions lost in recent years and many thousands more under threat, I would not hesitate to call what we are experiencing a full-blown pension crisis. The forestry sector has been in a near decade-long decline and taken many large corporations and mills down with it. Abitibi-Bowater, one of the largest employers in my riding, is undergoing restructuring after filing for creditor protection. When their books were finally opened, it was found that the pension fund, which holds the retirement income of nearly 20,000 hardworking Canadians, was underfunded by about $1.3 billion. Literally thousands of people in my riding, in Thunder Bay, Rainy River, who counted on their pensions being there when they retired, were faced with losing up to 40% of their retirement income. And let me tell you something. That wasn't just money that they were given or promised. That's money that they have earned. At town hall meetings, in correspondence, and in phone calls, my constituents have asked me to help them, to fix this problem, to bring them justice, and to secure their pensions. Madam Speaker, Bill C-501 is my response. Bill C-501 is a simple, effective bill that should secure every pension in Canada without costing the Canadian government or the Canadian taxpayers a cent. It will secure termination and severance pay in the event of bankruptcy. It'll mean that unfunded pension liabilities, the shortfalls in pension plans, are moved from unsecured status to secured status. And it will close loopholes that have allowed companies that go into restructuring proceedings to leave their retirees high and dry. The changes to existing legislation that are contained in C-501 are simple, effective, and could secure more than 4 million pensions in Canada and come at no cost to the government. Now, as this bill moves forward and we examine the contents and possible effects of this bill, Madam Speaker, we must do so knowing that there is no social or economic problem that exists in a vacuum. A pension problem of one employer affects not just the retirement income of one employee, but more often than not, that of their spouse as well. A loss of retirement income means a loss of security, a loss of wealth, a loss of independence, and a loss of dignity for workers and their spouses and their families as they try to enjoy the peace and rewards of their retirement. A loss of retirement income will also affect their children who, though most of them will be adults, worry, as all children do, about their parents as they enter what should become their golden years. It may mean that those children spend more of their time and their energy and their financial resources to secure their parents' retirement, to help them live in the dignified peace that they are entitled to. A loss of pension income of one worker will likely be accompanied by the loss of pension income for hundreds, if not thousands, of other workers. Such a large-scale loss in one local economy is sure to take its toll on small and local businesses. Take 40% of the household income of 1,000 families in a city out of the economy and see if commerce does not suffer. Local commerce will suffer, and other small businesses will go under, and more jobs and pensions will be lost. In many small northern and rural communities where a single mill, mine, or manufacturer employs a huge percentage of the local population, a loss of pension income, just like the loss of jobs, is devastating to the local economy. Living in northwestern Ontario, I have seen such loss with my own eyes. But I've made a commitment to the people that I elected, that I have been.
They elected you, sir.
All right, let me say that again, Madam Speaker. I make a commitment to the people that have elected me. I have promised them to do my utmost to ensure that I support policies that save our local jobs and protect our local pensions. Now, earlier I mentioned that many constituents had raised their concerns about pension security with me in various ways, so I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge them on the record for raising their concerns. Marvin Popisa of the Ontario CEP, George Shabbat, Bill Shine of local CEPs in Fort Francis, Gary Bregnalo, John Yashik in Thunder Bay, and many, many hundreds of citizens in Thunder Bay Rainy River, including Robert Elvish and Dr. Bob Lidke and Barry Bailey and John McGrath and Joe Hanlon and all our friends at Steele. They've all indicated to me that something needs to be done. Mr. Speaker, there were many, many others, too many to name today, but I'd also like to thank them all for taking the time to raise my awareness about their situations.